Are you feeling the stress of inflation? Well, most Americans are. Bankrate just did a survey which calculated what stresses people out the most. And surprise, surprise, it's money. It's money because it affects your everyday. There is no getting away from it. It is a fact of life. Now, there's certain ways to mitigate this. And I think Americans as a whole can make decisions, because I always tell people discipline will be enforced on you one way or another. You can enforce it on yourself with money, make good financial decisions, and choose not to spend, right? Choose to save, because you are saving productivity for the future. Or you could bring productivity from the future into the present using credit. And that's what a lot of Americans do, which is causing a lot of this stress. I've said this many, many times before. Some of you on this channel may be struggling financially, but a lot of America's financial struggles are self-induced, including our national debt. Because eventually we'll have to make the decision to choose what to spend money on, right? But we just pretend that that decision doesn't have to be made, and we delay it till tomorrow, therefore inflation. So you can mitigate that own factor in your own life by not doing the same thing, saving in things the government can't print, and actually having cash flow month to month. But I want to take a look at this article here from Bankrate, which did a survey of Americans, and it says more than half of Americans say money negatively impacts their mental health. And, you know, America has a great track record of having good mental health with all of our prescription drugs, yada, yada, yada. So this is up sharply from a year ago. That's not really a surprise. But as people lose, here's the thing. If you're the one person who has your wits about you in an economic downturn, or one of a few, you can actually make a massive difference, not only in your own life, but the life of those around you. Economic Ninja talks about this a lot. But you could crush it. You can go into the future knowing what's going to come, right? I don't necessarily know the timeline, but I know, for instance, the dollar will debase. It's 100%. The math is there. So if you know that, you can prepare for that. A lot of people will be blindsided by it, unfortunately. So reading from the article, a new survey from Bankrate found money is often a significant cause of stress. For most Americans, 52% say money has a negative impact on their mental health. How do you think these people are going to vote? That's why I keep saying get out of cities. This is up significantly, 42%, from 42% a year ago. Among those who say money has a negative impact on their mental health, more than 4 in 5, 82%, are feelings of stress, anxiety, worrisome thoughts, loss of sleep, depression, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Obviously, there's a lot of factors, but number one factor, inflation and rising prices. 68% say that's causing the stress. So when politicians come in and say, I know how to fix this, you know what's causing it? Price gouging. That makes sense to a lot of people. It's corporate greed. You know what we need? We need price controls. You know they're coming. You know, politicians will always try the easiest answer, the economic illiterate answer. Okay. As if, I'm not saying these corporations aren't greedy, but as if greed was invented last year. So why are they able to keep these prices high now and they didn't do it last year or the year before? You should ask yourself that question, because there's more factors than just corporate greed. Okay. The senior industry analyst Ted Rossman said, there are several sobering statistics in this report, with inflation at the center of many of these money worries. Despite a strong job market, wage growth has not kept pace with the rising cost of living. Debt has been rising, and savings have been dwindling. So translation in normal people talk, people have lost purchasing power. Even if their income went up, they have lost purchasing power. So what does that mean? More stress, tighter budget, more debt. I've already talked about this through credit cards, buy now, pay later. It's a whole mess. And people are running out of credit to borrow from. So the question is, I ask, do you want to be in this? No one wants to be here, right? But there's a certain amount of decisions people make that can either mitigate these effects or make them worse. That's my opinion. So this survey said money is the most cited factor that has negative impacts on U.S. adults' mental health. The most cited factor. So it's not their own health. It's not current events, health of their family and friends, relationship with family and friends, or work. It's money. It's money the things that's stressing them out the most. And I have a feeling that's because money affects every facet of life. All these other facets, money affects it. And I think you're going to see, unfortunately, some people will make good financial decisions and cut back. Other people won't. I mean, look at the way, by and large, stimulus was spent. Right? Stimmy checks. Look at the way those were spent. In good times, you keep spending, and in bad times, when the credit dries up, a lot of Americans are screwed. Okay. Financial therapist say that there are several reasons why certain groups may be feeling more anxious than others. They give a bunch of reasons. By the way, I should be a financial therapist. I didn't even know that was a job. But most people are saying rising inflation. And many Gen Xers are members of the sandwich generation, meaning they're caring for their aging parents and their children simultaneously. They have a double whammy disadvantage as inflation rises, which is another reason. One of the many things I talk about on this channel is like, hey, like I know the dollar will debase, right? And there are certain generations that actually benefit from that more, from the constant lowering of interest rates, right? And you see the quality of life going down, right? The next generation is actually has a less quality of life for the same amount of work, if you will, than baby boomers. And we all know why that is, dollar debasement. So if you know that's going to happen for your kids, then you should save in things that the government can't print, because you know it's going to be even worse for them, especially if they have to take care of you. Okay. So yes, Gen X is experiencing high financial anxiety. Additional low earners experience more emotional distress than high earners. That's not a surprise, because they don't have as much wiggle room. Nearly 60% of people earning $50,000 or less say money negatively impacts their mental health, compared to 45% of those making $80,000 annually. Here in the survey, they asked, we asked, you said that money at least occasionally or negatively impacts your mental health. How often do you experience this? 29% say daily. All these numbers are going the wrong direction. I think they will continue, because if you've been a long-time subscriber of this channel, you know there isn't any way of getting out of this. You individually, in your own microeconomy, can make better decisions and have this not affect you as much. But it's going to affect everybody. The debasement of the US dollar is going to affect everybody. But you can choose, again, to implement discipline in your own life, because discipline will be introduced into your life when your credit dries up or you go bankrupt or whatever, one way or another. So you can choose today to say, hey, I know it's coming. It's not going to get better. It's going to get worse with the way the government's overspending. So how should I react? Should I keep partying like it's there's no tomorrow, or should I prepare? So it looks like there's storm clouds on the horizon. Reading from the article again, inflation, rising interest rates, and job security are taking a toll on Americans' mental health. And we're not even in the recession, folks. Not even in the recession. We asked which one of the following money concerns cause a negative impact on your mental health. And the biggest one, 68% said inflation and rising prices. Paying for everyday expenses, being in debt. There's certain things on this list that people have control over, and that's what you should focus on. And that's what they talk about here. The 4 tips to manage financial stress during economic uncertainty. Remember to focus on things you can control. As I've said many times, savings is behavior, investing is knowledge, and the behavior part is what a lot of people get wrong. They don't even save. They don't have cash flow. Everything is month to month, right? Which is its own form of stress. I get it. I get it. In America, things are getting more expensive, but I would prefer, this is just me, to have a side hustle and work 80 hours a week than have the stress of being paycheck to paycheck. That's just me. Why? Because that's more stressful to me. It's not more stressful to some people, but it is to me. Okay. Number 2, prioritize the necessities and cut back on discretionary spending. Of course, build up your emergency savings, chip away at high interest debt. Okay. Like cars. Cars, as Dave Ramsey says, are the status symbol of the middle class. And it's this perpetual debt cycle. But overall, I think a lot of you on this channel know that these, it's not cosmic. If you spend more than you make, you're going to have financial stress. But it doesn't make it easier that we have, even if everything's the same and you were economically sound and you weren't spending more than you make, inflation's taken a toll. The question you should ask yourself is, will it get worse? Long run, the answer is yes. We could have an economic deflationary crash from the Fed raising interest rates. But my question to you is, how will the government respond? And I know one thing they have to do is deal with the debt they have. And the debt they have is so massive that they have to print just to pay it. That's why I think inflation, dollar debasement is 100% certain. So with that in mind, how do you react to it? Are you going to be a victim or not? I choose not to be a victim. Hopefully you do too. All right, guys, I will see you all in the next one. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Peace.